It's Thursday, July 23rd, and this is now on HNN.
Realistically, any part of the state could be directly impacted by Douglas.
Douglas remains a powerful Category 3 hurricane as it moves towards Hawaii.
Officials say the time to prepare for potential impacts is now.
We are a resilient people, but we got to all work together. So government is going to do everything we can to protect the public, but we ask everybody to get prepared.
Today we have extensive team coverage as we track the storm's path. Coming up on This Is Now. Good afternoon, thank you for watching This Is Now. The state is reporting its highest one-day count of coronavirus cases. They're telling us there's 55 new cases. There's also been another COVID-19 related death. We'll get to that in a moment, but first our severe weather coverage. Ashley is standing by with Ben with more on that.
Thank you, Jonathan. And the National Weather Service just released an update on Hurricane Douglas. And to tell us more about the storm's track and the potential impacts to the state is Ben Gutierrez. Now, Ben, it appears Douglas has gotten stronger, right?
Yeah, over the last 6 hours, it has picked up a little bit of strength. You can definitely see that the eye wall has gotten a little bit more circular, and it's looking more and more impressive, at least as far as hurricanes go. That's the bad news, but the good news is that it is still probably peaking in intensity right now because it's going to be moving through cooler waters. We can see the forecast models and we'll look at the track and we'll go into more detail on this in a little bit, but you can see the entire state is within this forecast cone. So that means that everybody should really be prepared. Now, forecast tracking, it's about 1,235 miles to the east of Hilo. Winds right now 125 miles per hour sustained at the center and gusts near 155 miles per hour. This is a very fast moving storm. It's booking at west-northwest 18 miles per hour, and that basically means it's going to be like zipping along pretty quickly. Once again, it looks like it'll peak in intensity, so by tomorrow 150 miles per hour. It will weaken slightly to a Category 1. Actually from a 3 to a 1 pretty rapidly, but it's still going to be, according to what we know right now, a 75 mile per hour hurricane, Category 1 sometime on Sunday, with the center coming very close to North Hawaii Island. But once again, don't fixate on the track, fixate instead on the cone, because you can definitely see that everybody is within this cone. Even on Monday, as it passes through the western end of the chain, it's still going to be a strong tropical storm. 65 mile per hour winds are still nothing to basically take very lightly. And once again, all the forecast models are in very good agreement on this one. There are no outliers. We don't have any tracks going to the north or the south. And so as we get closer and closer to Saturday and Sunday, when we're expecting the effects to really come in, we're getting more and more certain that it's going to stay within this area. It is going to be weakening just a tad. One reason is because it's going to be moving into an area of marginally cooler sea surface temperatures. Needs 80 degrees pretty much or warmer to keep going, and it's also got some pockets of drier air that it's going to encounter, and it's also going to be encountering some upper level winds, and of course that means we'll have some shear. It's going to be moving through this area. The upper level winds right about here are going to start weakening it a little bit, but this is still a very strong storm, and so this will not be enough to really knock it down into something that is, I won't say harmless, but something that is less of a danger to the islands.
Right, and you said that it could approach the Big Island as a Category 1 hurricane. What are some of the impacts we could see? Winds, rain?
Absolutely the wind, especially if it passes just to the north of the island of Hawaii or north of Hilo through the Hamakua coastline and through that area. We will be looking at quite a bit of wind, and we're also going to be expecting rain. Now, rain might be the bigger danger because we forget about the rain. The rain is still embedded no matter what the winds are. There's still a lot of moisture here, and so what's going to happen is that moisture has to go somewhere. Hurricane Lane was a very slow-moving storm back in 2018, and while it parked itself there just off, I think it was south of Maui and just off the coast of Hawaii Island, What happened was we didn't get the wind, but we got the rain. We got, 52 inches of rain in like 3 days, which just completely inundated Hilo. And Maui also, you need to have a heads up because the northern part of this hurricane is also going to be the strongest as far as wind, because you're going to have to factor in the forward speed of this storm. So 75 plus 18, and you've got 90 miles per hour on the northern half of that as you add the wind speed of the cyclone itself and the forward motion moving through the islands.
Right, and we've heard Ben say it and forecasters say it, and it's something the National Weather Service kind of drills into our head that, the forecast is 5 days out, so we shouldn't focus on the track, right? We should focus more on the cone, but as you said, the state is in the cone.
Yeah, the entire state is in the cone, so just be prepared no matter what for the impact. We're also still relatively early in the hurricane season, so even if you don't need the supplies, for example, the water and so on, we're still early in the season, which runs all the way through November 30th. And so this is a relatively early storm. And even if we, again, don't use the supplies right now, you will be prepared for what will still be possible for the rest of the hurricane season.
All right. Thank you, Ben, for the update. Jonathan, we're going to send it back to you.
Buying new storm supplies is a challenge for those struggling financially throughout this pandemic. Chelsea Davis joins us with more on that and other news about preparations going on across the state.
City and state officials are aware of these unprecedented times. Hawaii County Mayor Harry Kim says he's looking at grants to help residents get supplies, and he's also looking at empty hotels as backup shelters.
Everybody should sort of be taking this, really seriously and preparing as though they could get a direct hit.
As Hurricane Douglas churns toward the island chain, experts and officials urge everyone to get ready. Over on Hawaii Island, sandbags are being distributed, trees are being trimmed, and vacant hotels are being considered as backup shelters.
Right now, we have one additional resources that we did not have before, and because the hotels are empty. And that would be, for the most part, the strongest buildings in the island of Hawaii.
The Hawaii Emergency Management Agency recommends stocking up on 14 days worth of food and supplies, if you can.
Obviously, COVID-19 has challenged that on many levels with some of the financial insecurity throughout the state.
The Hawaii Food Bank says it's prepared for this very challenge and currently has an 18-day supply of food for those in need.
Our shelters should be your last option. Again, look to your home or homes of friends and family to go to first, because that's safer all the way around.
Emergency officials say even in a pandemic and uncertain economic times, preparing now could avoid disaster later.
Obviously, we may have some flooding, we may have some landslides, and we'll have some wind. We want the public not to specifically focus on the exact tracks that are being outlined, but just to take a preparedness theme home with them tonight and get ready for a long weekend and early next week of rain, wind, and maybe some wind.
Chelsea Davis, Hawaii News Now.
As Douglas approaches, other agencies across the state are gearing up. Mark Carpenter continues our team coverage.
The Hawaii chapter of the American Red Cross needs to find more shelter facilities than usual because of coronavirus procedures that require separating people. So officials are stressing being prepared to stay home.
It starts with you. So have a 14-day kit. We say this over and over, 14 days of food and other supplies, but also 14 days of COVID-19 pandemic supplies. Sufficient face coverings if you're going to have to be outside of your home, not just one. Enough hand sanitizer. It's a good challenge that we face. We need to be ready.
Kirk Caldwell presenting a situation mayors across the state are facing as Douglas approaches, stocking up while also staying safe. The city says it is still planning to have shelters open and will have COVID protocols in place, but advises to avoid close quarters if possible. Hawaii's American Red Cross is dealing with its own crisis, finding volunteers. Normally, they have 2,000 volunteers available, but that has dropped 70% during the pandemic.
A number of our volunteers, some of them can volunteer from home and do some remote types of things, but for being on site, which is what we need at the shelters in a situation like this, we really have to get the call out there and recruit some new volunteers.
The Red Cross says it is especially in need of volunteers with healthcare experience, such as current or former doctors, paramedics, or nurses. Mark Carpenter, Hawaii News Now.
In today's Talker story, there's a local company out there that wants to be in the position of providing fresh drinking water to the state in the event an emergency cuts off access. Jim Mendoza has more on that.
If a major hurricane or other catastrophic event disrupted Hawaii's flow of fresh water, a company called Sustainable Ocean Systems wants to be in a position to help.
We developed an offshore water harvesting technology.
Ken Ostabo helped start a business that hopes to provide humanitarian aid during disasters by turning large amounts of ocean water into drinking water.
We have a pumping system that we put in the water. We bring the water up to the vessel, filter it, then it runs through the reverse osmosis system.
Ostabo says SOS's blueprint maps out a path for converting up to 1 million gallons of salt water into fresh water on a daily basis. It could be packaged on board a vessel or sent to land via a portable surface pipeline.
We can actually set the footprint on board a vessel and then take that vessel or barge wherever it needs to go and then strategically position the vessel and then provide water.
Sustainable Ocean Systems is trying to attract investors so it can buy a vessel that would hold a desalination unit and other equipment.
We've certainly spoken with some of the politicians here locally who have all embraced the idea, just trying to find a pathway for us to be able to fund it, and then move forward.
Ostabo says the SOS vessel could have the capability to sweep plastic pollutants from the ocean and turn them into fuel to drive down operating costs.
It's important for us to get the word out. It's not that we haven't, but it would be nice to get it to more people that have an opportunity to really help us impact where this technology needs to go.
Jim Mendoza, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, Jim, for that report. Just into the digital center, we got this photograph from our photographer, Jared, coming in to us from the Costco in town there. You can see a line. We've seen lines at Costco over the last few months. This is probably not for the pandemic. This is people stocking up for the storm there. Pretty good sized line there. Everyone's socially distanced from what it appears like, but we're going to continue to cover this all day long and all weekend long, folks. So stay with HNN for your continuing coverage of the hurricane's track. But we've got to move on now. Let's get to some breaking coronavirus news.
The state health department is reporting another patient with COVID-19 has died. The state's latest fatality is an elderly Oahu woman that brings Hawaii's death toll to 26. DOH is also reporting 55 new cases today, the highest one-day count since the beginning of the pandemic. 50 patients are in Honolulu, 3 are on the Big Island, and 2 are on Maui. Officials say most of these cases are a result of people socializing with friends and family without face coverings or social distancing. Nearly 2,500 tests came in yesterday, and positive results from the state's Sentinel surveillance program are also counted. Meanwhile, the Board of Education is holding an online meeting this afternoon on the plan to reopen schools on August 4th. With so much uncertainty right before the start of school, Lisa Kubota has some advice for families.
At this time of year, parents are usually focused on getting school supplies and new clothes for their kids, but now they face a whole new set of concerns.
As the chief of pediatrics at the Queens Medical Center, Dr. Nadine Tensal says she sees parents struggling to make difficult choices.
Is it safe to go back to school? Should we send them back? Parents are making a lot of different decisions based on what they have to. Some parents have no choice. They have to return to work.
Most children haven't been on campus in months since schools suddenly switched to remote learning.
Some kids have done okay with distant learning. Others are not doing well with it at all, and there's a need for them to return back to school.
Schools are getting ready to welcome students back into classrooms next month. DOE campuses have 3 options: in-person instruction, distance learning, or a blend of the two. But now there are calls to delay the reopening, in addition to the possibility of schools closing again due to an outbreak.
I think being honest, especially if it's age appropriate, that this is the plan for now, this is what we think is safe for now, but it may change, will allow children to know that there's a possibility that there'll be change and cause less anxiety when it does change.
Another tip is to make sure that kids have a regular schedule for playing, eating meals, and going to bed. Don't forget to keep in touch with their pediatrician and stay on top of regular checkups. Lisa Kubota, Hawaii News Now.
A Los Angeles-based Hawaiian Airlines flight attendant has died of COVID-19, and another one is in the hospital. Multiple employees tell Hawaii News Now both workers attended the company's June training in Honolulu. 44 cases are linked to the classes. The cluster is also tied to several cases at 2 Oahu gyms. In an email to employees, Hawaiian Air CEO Peter Ingram identified the flight attendant who died as Jeff Kurtzman. We're told he worked for the company for more than 3 decades. Sources tell us another flight attendant has been in a Honolulu ICU since mid-July.
And just a quick update here, Kama'aina visitors haven't had a huge impact on the state's hotel industry. The Tourism Authority says statewide hotel room revenue in June fell over 90% compared to the previous year. Room demand dropped nearly 90% as well. The postponed Olympics hit the 1 year to go mark again. We talked to one of our local gold medal hopefuls this morning on Sunrise.
Four-time world champ Carissa Moore, local girl, is getting ready for the Olympics. Obviously, it's a long ways out because everything got delayed. July 23rd, 2021 is the new start date. First of all, Carissa, always great to talk to you. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's nice to talk to you today. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, it's not the way we want it to go, but still, the excitement is building. You're about a year out. How stoked are you to be part of the Olympics?
I am beyond stoked to be a part of the Olympics. Obviously, it was a little disappointing that things got postponed this year, but I'm just really grateful to still be a part of the USA team and that the Olympics is still happening a year out from now, and to have one more year just to train, to get excited, and to anticipate everything. So I'm overall, it's very positive.
Yeah, you know, every year, I mean, everybody loves the Olympics, right? But this time around, do you get a feel for how badly we need this? I mean, something else to obsess about, to talk about, and the excitement building. Do you realize what 2021 is going to be for everyone in the world watching?
I have to agree with you on that one. I think this Olympics is going to be extra special because I think this is a tough time for everyone. I really feel like sports brings people together, and especially during this time, it'll bring us together even more. And sports. It's positive, it's uplifting, and you're right. It's a great distraction, something else for us to focus on. So it'll be a time of celebration for sure.
Yeah. Aside from the competition itself, what are you looking forward to most when you go to Japan?
Sushi. Eating lots of sushi. They have the best sushi, so I'm definitely looking forward to eating lots of fish and I don't know, checking out the area. And they have the Japanese culture is fascinating. I love everything about it. So just getting to immerse myself and soak it all in.
Yeah, I guess the beauty of this is even with the pandemic, you've been able to get out in the water. You're still able to practice. What about outside the water? How have you been training? How have you been getting in shape?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, very fortunate to have spent all my time during the pandemic here on the islands. Hawaii has been, I feel like we have been better off than most of the world. Being able to get in the water every day has been a gift, and to be able to ride waves and surf and train has definitely kept me sane and happy. I still have been online training a few times a week with my trainer, and sometimes I'll be doing stuff on my own, and as well as Pilates. So just trying to keep it fresh and exciting and engaging.
Yeah, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I heard you have been brushing up on your Japanese. So next time we talk, before you head out to the Olympics, I want to hear you say, "Hey everyone, check out my shiny new gold medal," okay? Can you work on that phrase?
Oh my gosh. I feel like that's going to jinx things.
No,
How about we circle back if it all works out?
Okay, all right. You got 4 world titles. You're okay, I don't want to jinx it either. Anyway, Carissa Moore, 4-time world champ. We're very excited about it. July 23rd, 2021. Of course, it's going to be broadcast on KHNL. Thanks, Carissa. Congratulations.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
After a nearly 4-month delay, it's time to play ball. The Major League Baseball season kicks off tonight, and the first game features the world champion Washington Nationals taking on the New York Yankees. Ed O'Keefe reports from outside of Nats Park.
After last baseball season ended like this.
The Washington Nationals Nationals are world champions. Fans might be shocked to see the 2020 season begin like this. Stadium seats will be empty, replaced in some cities by cardboard cutouts. Celebrations will be distanced. Coaches will be masked. And fan noise will be piped in over stadium speakers. Similar precautions were taken in Korea and Japan when those countries brought back baseball earlier this year. Although you may not see many dancing robots.
And this time the net.
Other U.S. leagues have been exploring different structures. Major League Soccer has been holding a World Cup-style tournament this month in Florida, and the NBA is coming back next week with no fans in attendance after a nearly 5-month hiatus and delays caused by coronavirus outbreaks at team facilities.
I'm an avid Washington National fan.
Dr. Anthony Fauci showed support for his favorite team at a congressional hearing last month, and tonight he's throwing out the first pitch as a different kind of season gets underway.
There's not going to be people in the stands. It's just going to be televised. So I think that in and of itself tells you something about the stark difference between what we're doing right now and what we were able to do last year at this time. I used to play baseball as a young boy and as a kid in school, and I hope I don't bounce it too much.
And on this opening day, the Toronto Blue Jays are still looking for a new nest, so to speak. Canada rejected their plans to play at home, and a plan to play at PNC Park in Pittsburgh was also rejected, so we'll see where exactly that team lands. Ed O'Keefe, CBS News, at Nationals Park in Washington.
Go Nats!
I knew you'd get that in there. Let's see what the internet's talking about, folks. Did you know today's a holiday, one of those fun holidays? And it's one I'm really, really excited about because it's National Gorgeous Grandma Day.
Gorgeous Grandma Day.
And there's Grandma Doris right there. That's me on her lap when we were little bitty guys, me and my sister. And then on the other side, where she's standing next to the two young guys there, that's my two nephews, Jack and Byron. And she's still got height. You know, happy birthday early, Grandma. You turn 90 next month. Sorry to give away the secret.
No,
Yep.
my grandma's almost 92.
Oh, no way.
My grandma Janet, so she lives in Hilo and she's almost 90. She is very active. She does Zumba, she does hip hop, country line dancing, and she makes the best cinnamon rolls and cone sushi.
And I hear they're both This Is Now watchers.
Yes, they are. Hi, Grandma.
Hi, Grandma. All right, let's get to some other news the internet is talking about.
That's right. So lifestyle diva Martha Stewart is burning up the internet with a selfie of her cooling off. The 78-year-old posted this shot from her pool in Bedford, New York. Followers went nuts over her glowing skin and her flirty pout. And it comes as Stewart launches a new show on HGTV, which premieres this month called Martha Knows Best. It focuses on her completing outdoor projects around her Bedford farm.
She looks incredible.
I know.
Go, Martha.
Woo.
I'm always a fan of hers.
And have you ever wanted to own one of those iconic cars from the movies? Well, here's your chance. After a Medicaid fraud arrest in Ohio, investigators raided a millionaire business owner's assets and uncovered 3 replica movie cars: the Time Machine from Back to the Future, Ghostbusters Ecto-1, and the Batmobile. Now, the federal government will auction off all 3 cars online, and bidding is open to the public. Here's your chance, Jonathan.
Yeah, one guy had all those cars. Wow. All right, Taylor Swift surprised us all today. Big surprise. A new album. She just dropped it, and it was all produced in quarantine while she was in isolation. It's called Folklore, and you can check it out now. She says there's a new video coming out any moment. It could even drop tonight.
Yeah, she wrote it entirely while she was in isolation.
Yeah, I think hopefully her creative juices were flowing. She said she did have some help from some co-writers. So, you guys, that's going to do it for This Is Now on this Thursday. Obviously, we had a lot of news to get to, and we're going to continue to bring it to you all day long on our digital platforms. Stay safe.